So my previous video was in regards to rolling the glutes on the wall. There might be a couple of reasons why you don't care for the wall. It could be too intense. The smaller the object that you use to roll, the deeper it goes. Maybe you just want to lay on the floor. That's okay. If you're tired after your workout, sometimes we just feel like we're dropping on the floor. So there is another option that I like to use to get the top of the glutes, and then I actually use it to feed into hip flexors, which are another component that affect the low back. So with this exercise, foam roller is going to be on the floor. The best thing to do actually is to lie first, especially if you're someone who is stiff, and you're going to just lift your hips up into a bridge. From there, just kind of let your back settle. This often is an area where people can be tight. I know if I'm really tight, I'll actually feel like a little bit of a vibration. My nervous system is trying to adjust to the stretch, but my hip flexors are just so tight, they don't want to go there. So I often start here. So I'm actually going to do my hip flexors first. I have posted this stretch before. So first I usually bring the knee into the chest and just hug the knee into the chest. So typically 3 to 5 breaths. And then you're going to straighten the floor leg out. And depending on how tight you are, you may not be able to straighten the leg, or the leg doesn't touch the ground. So you're just letting gravity stretch that hip flexor out as you continue to pull that knee into the chest. And again, 3 nice deep breaths. And then I'm going to slide that leg in and switch legs. So pulling the knee into the chest, giving it a nice big hug. And sometimes you'll feel a little bit of pinching into the hip flexor if you're really that tight. And then after, again, you've held this, then you're going to stretch that opposite leg out. So if you can tell, for me, there is actually quite a discrepancy. My right leg has no problem staying on the floor. The left leg in the beginning didn't even touch. So here, because I have that flexibility in the hip flexor, the goal is actually to really pull this leg in and then to continually actively reach through my floor leg to increase that stretch. So when I've done both of those, again, I drag that leg back in, lower the leg. I might have to readjust on the foam roller, reassess how tight this is. But then to get that upper glutes that I was talking about in the last video, bring the knees up to tabletop. And think about your femur sinking deep into those hips. And then just go side to side. And this is going to hit that upper glute as well as the low back. So getting that portion that some people forget about. But to really get the side of the glute, I like to call it running. So I stay on the side and I move my legs as if I was going for a run. So I'm moving through the hip joint. So again, I've pinned the glute. And then I'm moving the thigh to put it into a stretch. And then my body weight is that pressure onto the ball. And then I'll come back to center, same thing on the opposite side. So I pin the glute and I move. And I do want to try and keep this shoulder down. If I lose that shoulder, if I let it come up, I'm going to lose that stretch into the torso that I'm also getting into the low back. So there's a combination of things going on. And then you just come back to center. Sometimes it's nice to go back and forth again, really just getting the top of that glute. And then you just slowly lower down to come out of it, lift the hips, push the foam roller out, and it's always nice to kind of just give yourself a nice low back stretch. And that's a different way that you can tackle the glutes on the floor.